I don't think it's a slam dunk case at this point. I don't think they would have arrested him, and we'll know when they unseal the arrest warrant and the affidavit supporting the warrant will lay out the facts that they had at the time to get the warrant. But I don't think it's a slam dunk case. It is by its nature a circumstantial case because there are no eyewitnesses to the crimes that we know of. There may be some people who saw that Elantra, or the camera that saw the Elantra, but even then you don't have a tag on that Elantra. So I think it's inherently circumstantial.
Good morning, everybody. Thursday, January 5th. In the new year, we are rocking and rolling. We have a lot of stuff going on. Came across this clip this morning that answered some of our questions. This guy is not affiliated with the case by any means. He's a former prosecutor, retired FBI. You know the drill. Anyhow, what he said made a lot of sense, that when the court order came through to stop, and you're going to see in a second, to stop the cleaning, it's because, well, the cleaning shouldn't have began at all. That does not mean that they don't have a case. That doesn't mean that all is lost or anything like that. It's just very interesting. Again, this is just his opinion and what he has seen, but I wanted to share it with you guys. We have a show in a couple of hours, a lot of stuff to go through as usual. Please listen to this and leave me a comment, please, because I think this is very interesting.
We're going to bring in Chris Swecker, former assistant FBI director. Of course, we're going to get more details on the circumstances behind his arrest once it's all revealed. But you said something that was very interesting. You said no matter if it's a public defender who is defending Kohberger or a private attorney, you said the first thing they're going to do is challenge the sanitization of the crime scene. Why do you say that?
Well, as I read up on it, I don't know how far they got into the cleaning up or sanitization of the house, but I'm a former prosecutor before I went in the FBI, and you always have to be really tuned into due process being afforded the defendant. You don't want to create issues and defenses that don't already exist. And in this case, you could argue that sanitizing that house is basically denying the defense an opportunity to gather their own evidence. And I think that's probably why the defense investigators are already inside the house. It's a due process issue. You have to give the defense every opportunity to gather evidence and analyze evidence at the crime scene or any information that might tend to exonerate the defendant. So you just got to be very careful with this. Hopefully they didn't get too far into that cleaning process.
So why, Chris, why did the Idaho authorities move to clean up this crime scene so quickly?
Unknown. I think it's an unforced error, and it may be that they were called off. But as soon as they announced it, it seems someone representing the court or someone who thought they might be a prospective defense attorney got them to call it off. But, there have been a few missteps in this investigation, but I tell you, they really recovered in terms of how they identified this defendant, cross-country surveillance over the course of 2,300 miles, and the way they just sort of rallied in the last week or so and identified this defendant and got him in, behind bars. This guy's a dangerous killer, and that was the most important thing, is to get him in custody.
Yeah, they really did do a cross-country surveillance. My mother-in-law said that her friend had a white Hyundai Elantra in New York, upstate New York, and police were looking in their driveway a couple of weeks ago at the car, and it turns out that it was because it was a white Hyundai Elantra, so it was completely cross-country. But my question to you, do you think they have the right guy? Has there been anything that he has said, or his lawyer or the family, trying to say that he's innocent that would make you change your mind?
I don't think it's a slam dunk case at this point. I don't think they would have arrested him, and we'll know when they unseal the arrest warrant and the affidavit supporting the warrant will lay out the facts that they had at the time to get the warrant. But I don't think it's a slam dunk case. It is by its nature a circumstantial case because there are no eyewitnesses to the crimes that we know of. There may be some people who saw that Elantra or the camera that saw the Elantra, but even then you don't have a tag on that Elantra. So I think it's inherently circumstantial. And in that case, in those types of cases, there are defenses, and you really have to be on top of your game to gather up every shred of evidence and convince a jury that there's just no other person that could have done this.
Yeah, as
you know, and I will say,
sorry, continue.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, please, you.
Well, I will say that this, they did, as I said earlier, the investigators. And I think this was the FBI. I'm not taking anything away from the Pennsylvania State Police or the Idaho State Police and the investigators with the Sheriff's Department. But the FBI came in, did the DNA evidence, did the cross-country surveillance, probably tracked down the Elantra. I think this is what the FBI does really well.
Maybe they should continue doing that as opposed to attending school board meetings. They may catch more killers, as you have said multiple times on our show. Meantime, the latest batch of Twitter files revealed that Twitter was under huge pressure from Democrats in 2017 to look into Russian propaganda after Hillary